You spell that with a K? C? Is that M-E-N or M-I-N? M-E-N or M-I-N? Carmen. I? Oh, E. It is an E. Would you sit closer, please? My name is Rupanuga, for those who are not familiar. I'm a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and a grand disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And now that we've got Raseshwari situated, I think maybe we can begin. She's a pretty important person around here. Her father kind of takes second place, I think. Gokulanand Prabhu. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Opi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Nitai Gaura Premananda Haribo Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Charja Hasto Tadasatya Sri Srimad His Divine Loving Grace Abhay Charanata Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Charja Asto Tadasatya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON Guru Parampara Ki, Shri Rup, Shri Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal, Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gauda Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Ananta Kodi Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gauda Bhaktivinoda Ki, Ganga Devi Ki, Jamuna Mai Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki, Brihat Badanga Transcendental Book and Prasadam Distribution Ki, Nitai Gaura Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pistai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Bhare Bachanine Nivishesha Srinivare Paschatadeshitane. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Today we'll be speaking from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, and we'll be concentrating on text number 25 through 34. And once we've chanted those, we'll come back and chant the Sanskrit for text number 26. And we'll read the purport to that one only. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasan Tato Jayam Uderayat. Nasta Prayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Esther, nice to have you with us also. So Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, and Canto 3, Chapter 2. That does help. I don't know if you all have the habit of doing this, but now is the schedule published? Does everybody get to know what we're going to be talking about?
No, just the Srimad Bhagavatam group knows right now.
Okay, so one way to prepare for a class, whether you're giving it or listening to it, is to read the chapter, just at least the translations to the chapter, so that you can get an idea of what is going on, and you won't have to wonder who is speaking. Of course, I'm speaking, but I mean, I'm talking about in the text. Who is speaking, by the way, just to Dumna Prabhu? Uddhava, and he's speaking to whom? Vidura. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed it. Yes, so Uddhava, very, very, very dear friend of Lord Sri Krishna, and Vidura, Vidura, how do you say Vidura? He's not Maharaj. Anyhow, the highly respected Saint Vidura. Vidura is one of the major characters in Krishna's Leela. Even though he's consigned to a secondary position because of his birth mother, who was a maidservant of the king, Dhritarashtra. No, that's not correct. No, he was the son of Vyasadeva, one of the three sons of Vyasadeva. Correct? Dinatarini, you need to fact check me while I'm talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm talking about Mahabharata. Now, I think that's correct, though. He was, first of all, there was Dhritarashtra, who was the elder son, and then there was Pandu, the next, and then there was Vidura. And that's a whole interesting story about how their births came about. But they are all the sons of Srila Krishna Dwaipayan Vyasadeva. We just know him as Srila Vyasadeva. And so, Vidura, we're talking about the two characters that we are going to be reading about in here right now. So let's begin with text number 26. And Janaki Devi, would you please read the translation, text 26? Oh, yes, the mic. Everybody has to speak into the mic. If I ask you a question or if you want to make a contribution, you must have the mic or I'm not going to let you speak. Because there are people out there who are wondering why the silence. You know, people who are listening in online. So I want them to know who is speaking, and I want them to be able to hear what you have to say. Would you please read, please?
Thereafter, his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda, and there he lived for 11 years like a covered flame with his elder brother, Baladev.
Okay, number 27, please, Nishta. Devi. I'll get to you next, Hana, so be prepared. All right, go ahead.
In his childhood, the Almighty Lord was surrounded by cowherd boys and calves, and thus he traveled on the shore of the Yamuna River, through gardens densely covered with trees and filled with vibrations of chirping birds.
Okay, now, Hana, can you read that text number 28?
When the Lord displayed his activities, just suitable for children, childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavana.
Good.
Sometimes he would cry, and sometimes laugh, just like a child. And while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub.
Okay, thank you very much. And now, please, Esther, would you read text number 29, the translation?
While herding the very beautiful bulls, the Lord, who was the reservoir of all opulence and fortune, used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys.
Okay, very good. Carmen? Number 30.
The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Boja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls.
Okay.
The
Dana Tarini Devi, would you kindly read text number 31?
The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties, because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state.
Okay, very good. Jose, Dr. Jose, please.
The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows, and also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land and the cows, with the help of learned brahmanas.
Just a comment here. Notice that he says he advised his father to perform the worship of Go. Usually we think of Go as what?
Moving.
The Sanskrit word Go.
Cow.
Thank you very much. But we see there's an additional element here that that it was worshipped, and it wasn't just the cows, but it was what else? Just to do approval.
The land.
Yes, the pasturing land of the cows. And in a sense, the land is non-different from the cows because it provides the food for the cows, and the cows in return provide dung and urine. And the whole land of Vrindavan, and they also give milk, and the land of Vrindavan is said to be saturated with the milk of the cows there. Unlimited numbers of cows in Sri Vrindavan. Okay? Let's see, text number 30. This is the last text. Bhakta Jose, you're the chosen one.
O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Braja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed, but the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger. With his pastime umbrella, the Govardhan hill.
Quite an umbrella. And I'm sorry, that was text number 33. So, Dina Tarini Devi, would you kindly read 34?
In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine.
Okay. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports, third canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So here is Uddhava remembering Lord Krishna. Now let's go back to text number 26, please. Let's do word for word translations, okay? I'll say, you repeat. Tata, thereafter. Nanda Vrajam, cow pastures of Nanda Maharaj. Ita, being brought up. Pitra, by his father. Kamsat, from Kamsa. Vibibhyata, being afraid of. Ekadasha, 11. Sama, years. Tatra, therein. Gudha Archi, covered fire. Sabala, with Baladev. Where's Baladev? Where's Baladev Prabhu, the person who likes to dance during kirtans? He was here this morning, wasn't he? He must have had to go to work or something. Oh, I'm sorry, Bali. Bali, sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. So he's not here, is he? Okay, all right. We'll forgive him. Okay, so let's see. Sabala with Baladev and Avasat resided. Let's read the translation again. Please, Carmen, would you read the translation again for that text number 26?
Thereafter, his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda. And there he lived for 11 years, like a covered flame, with his elder brother Baladev.
We didn't chant this as a poem, did we? Let's chant it as poetry. I'll chant it line by line, and would you repeat after, please? Tato Nanda Brajamita Pitra Kangsad Vibhibyata Ekadasya Samastatra Gudharchi Sabalo Vasat. Okay, very good. Now, let's read the purport. This is that translation was by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and so is the purport. So now let's read the purport. And Gokulananda Prabhu, would you read for part of the purport, please?
There was no necessity of the Lord's being dispatched to the house of Nanda Maharaj out of fear of Kamsa's determination to kill him as soon as he appeared. It is the business of the Asuras to try to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to prove by all means that there is no God, or that Krishna is an ordinary human being and not God. Lord Krishna is not affected by such determination of men of Kansa's class, but in order to play the role of a child, he agreed to be carried by his father to the cow pastures of Nanda Maharaj, because Vasudeva was afraid of Kansa. Nanda Maharaj was due to receive him as his child, and Yashoda Mai was also to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord. And therefore, to fulfill everyone's desire, he was carried from Mathura to Vrindavan just after his appearance in the prison house of Kamsa.
All right, would you stop there, please, and hand the phone to Janaki Devi? Hmm? Oh, Dayulu? Let's, do you mind, Janaki? You won't be offended? Okay, Dayalu Prabhu. This is my first time, I think, to see you, and I'm very glad you have come. So would you please read there, pick up where Gokulan left off.
The Lord enjoys more when someone takes him as a subordinate son who needs the protection of a father than he does when someone accepts him as the Supreme Lord. He is the father of everyone and he protects everyone, but when his devotee takes it for granted that the Lord is to be protected by the devotee's care, it is transcendental joy for the Lord. Thus, when Vasudeva, out of fear of Kamsa, carried him to Vrindavan, the Lord enjoyed it. Otherwise, he had no fear from Kamsa or anyone else.
Okay, I'm going to go back up and read just a little bit out of the chapter, out of the paragraph also. But this is Mount Midway. Nanda Maharaj was due to receive him as his child, and Yashoda Mai was also able to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, and therefore to fulfill everyone's desires. He carried him, that's Vasudeva, carried Krishna from Mathura to Vrindavan just after his appearance in the prison house of Kamsa. He lived there for 11 years and completed all his fascinating pastimes of childhood, boyhood, and adolescence with his elder brother, Lord Baladev, his first expansion. Chant with me. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dr. Lal Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswaminiti Namane. So this entire chapter then has been about the activities of Krishna remembered by whom? Uddhava. at the inquiry of whom? Vidura. Vidura. It is stated that Vasudeva, who is the father of Vasudeva, Vasudeva being Krishna, Vasudeva is his father. He, out of fear of Kamsa, who had imprisoned Vasudeva and Devaki in Mathura, he's taking Krishna across the river, Jamuna, I think it's Jamuna River, gotta be, to Vrindavan. And that's a very excellent pastime to read about as well. All of these pastimes, I think, are included in Krishna book, which is Prabhupada's condensation of what? Canto number 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And of course, it has been pointed out to us that we should read the first 9 cantos before we attempt to get into the 10th canto. I think that restriction is primarily to help us to understand the supreme position of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And it is also intended to help us to be able to understand the very intimate relationship that Krishna has with the gopis of Vrindavan, the cowherd girls, the lasses of Vrindavan. And so necessary to find out what Krishna's position is. And we find that Uddhava remembers each one of those pastimes of Lord Krishna when he was living in Vrindavan, having to kill so many demoniac personalities who came to try to kill him. And I think yesterday Nanda Braj Prabhu was mentioning, you did mention Putana. All right. Remember, Putana was a witch who came flying through the air to do what she did best, and that was to kill young children and eat their flesh. And so Kamsa knew about her infamy, and he was the king at that time. He's a very powerful personality, very, very powerful personality. But he had made the mistake of imprisoning Krishna's father and mother and killing the, 6 children of Devaki before Krishna appeared as the 7th child of Devaki. And he had been warned previously by a voice. Yes? Do you want to make a comment? 8th child. Okay, 7 children had been killed. Is that correct?
7 was Durga.
Oh, 7 was Durga. Okay, so that brings us to another point. When Vasudeva took baby Krishna across the Jamuna into the house of Nanda Maharaj in the cowherd land of Vrindavan, he exchanged baby Krishna, for the female child of Yashoda, who had just given birth. Did you know that Yashoda had given birth to twins? How many of you knew that? Prabhupada does not state that in the purports in Canto 10, as I remember. But if you search for it, you'll find that Yashoda Devi gave birth to twins. Who was the male child that she gave birth to? Krishna. So while Devaki was giving birth to Krishna in Mathura, Yashoda was giving birth to Krishna and what was her name? Yogamaya? Is it Yogamaya or Mahamaya? Yogamaya. So she gave birth to twins then in Vrindavan. And so how is it that he brought Krishna to give so he could take the female child back, but what about the other male child? It was said that when Krishna was placed by Vasudeva, when he was placed in the bed, the birthing bed beside Mother Yashoda, that that child merged into the body of the child that Yashoda had given birth to. Both women gave birth to Krishna. Now, if you're wondering whether this is correct, I'll give you as your assignment for next class, the next class I give, to find out whether I'm correct. I had to go looking. Someone told me once that, gave a class here in which they said that Yashoda gave birth to twins. And when Mathuranath Prabhu and I went to serve Tamal Krishna Goswami upstairs in the next building, we mentioned this to him, and he was kind of disgusted with us. He accused us of not reading. He said, yes, of course she gave birth to twins. But you don't hear that spoken of very much. And I don't know why. I don't know the reason. So that's the reason that I went and looked. First place I wound up was in the 11th canto, in which Prabhupada, 10th canto, because Prabhupada did not write the translation purports to the 11th canto. That was redone under Maharaj. But Prabhupada got part of the way through the 10th canto, and in one of those texts, one of his purports in 10th canto, he mentions that Yashoda gave birth to twins. Look it up. 10th canto. Okay, so that was one point that I wanted to make, and that was some people like me were thinking that, all right, Devaki gave birth to Krishna, therefore Yashoda is acting as his stepmother. Yashoda could not remember having given birth to but one child. So that's what was stated. So she was sleeping, and when Vasudeva came and put baby Krishna down beside her and took Yogamaya back to the prison cell in which he and Devaki were being kept by Kamsa, this was the seventh child, and as Dina Tarini has pointed out to us, this was the seventh child, the little girl was, and so when Kamsa came to get her, he picked her up and was about to dash her against the floor as he had done with the previous 6 children. And she slipped out of his grasp and rose up into the air and called Kamsa a fool and told him that the child that was to kill him has already taken his birth. So, that put Kamsa into a more desperate position to want to find out who it was that was going to be the cause of his death. Who is the first expansion of Krishna? Balaram. And who is the next personality that comes from Krishna's body? Radharani. So Balaram comes out on his right side, and Radharani comes out on his left side. And there's no person more dear to Krishna than Radharani. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. So Radharani is the daughter of King Varshana, and she has come and now is taking part in these pastimes. And if you remember when Radharani was first, Radharani was found in the river, wasn't she, floating in the river? Isn't that correct? Radharani was found in the river, and then she was picked up and brought to the king, King Varshana. Is it Varshana? That's his name? Vrishabhanu. Okay, Vrishabhanu. Sometimes I've heard his name said Varshabhana, but we know it as Vrishabhanu. So Radharani then is the daughter of King Rishabhanu, and there was only one problem with this beautiful child that had been given to them, and that what was the problem? What problem did she have? Anybody remember? I'm sorry?
She didn't speak. She didn't talk.
There was another problem that was more pronounced. What was it? Her eyes were shut and she would not open them. And so when Nanda and Yashoda came to visit King Rishabhanu, then they brought baby Krishna with her, and he was a toddler, so he kind of crawled up onto the side of Radharani's bed, and it was at that moment that she opened her eyes, because she had agreed to come into this material world, but only if the first person that she saw was Krishna. You heard about that?
Hannah liked it.
Hmm?
Hannah liked it. She appreciated it.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? So those two personalities are said to be non-different, but they have divided themselves into two so that they could have loving pastimes. And so that then is the basis for Krishna's not allowing us to merge into his personality, as some people think. Some people think that when they give up their body, if to be liberated, they have to merge. They have to merge into the body of the Supreme Lord, and that is considered to be a form of liberation. You remember there was one warrior right before the horse sacrifice by King Yudhisthira, who had been very inimical toward Krishna, and he was always saying bad things about him. And Krishna had made him, had said that, he will allow this person. Who is that person? Shishupal. He would allow him to make how many negative statements about him? 100. So anyhow, when right before the sacrifice, horse sacrifice was to take place by King Yudhisthira, Krishna was chosen as the one to receive the first worship, because some people knew him as the Supreme Lord, and other people did not recognize him or did not accept him as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They thought he was an ordinary cowherd boy who had somehow or other risen to the position of Kshatriya, or king. So Krishna, how did he dispatch Shishupal? Do you remember? Pardon? Yes. Promptly decapitated him using what? Sudarshan Chakra. Yeah. So he's got this powerful weapon, this invincible weapon that he used to sever the head of Shishupal, because he had reached his 100th. What do we say? Insult. Yeah, Krishna had tolerated 99 insults. So Krishna then, what was the destination then? What happened to Shishupal when he was killed? Be more descriptive. Tell me what happened. What did people see, Drishtadyumna Prabhu? Oh, wait. This, everybody's got to hear this.
Haribo. The people, the bystanders, saw his soul leave his body and then go into merge with Krishna's body.
How did it appear? How did his soul appear to those who were present?
Spark. It's spark.
Yeah, a spark of bright light that came out of the body of Shishupal, went up into the air, and then came down and merged into the body of Krishna. We understand that merging into the into the body of Krishna is not the desired goal for those who are considered bhaktas, or we're Krishna bhaktas. So that's not a very good thing. We don't want to lose our identity. Why? What was the answer?
He said because we think that is us.
That's a good answer. Yes, we think we're identified. Yes, please. We need the mic over here for Janaki, please. Thank you, Nishna, and everybody else.
If we lose our individuality or our Krishna.
So if we lose our individuality, then we can have pastime with Krishna. We can act with Krishna.
That's right. We cannot serve Krishna. We cannot play with Krishna if we lose our individuality. And of course,
Question was why?
why?
I think she's asking why can't we continue our individuality instead of Krishna if we lose our individuality?
If we lose our it means this is what some have considered merging into the white light, which is the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Hannah, have you heard that term, the white light? That's what some people hope to obtain by their practice of yoga. Well, that white light allows the spirit soul, without a material body, to buzz around for a very long time in that effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And why is that not a desirable thing for the devotees? Dana Tarn? Oh, sorry. Maybe we got you. Yes, please, go ahead.
We all have our own individuality and we have different relationships with Krishna. So, nature of the soul is to be in service, and the nature of the soul is to be active and to be individual and have personality and have traits. So, if you're in the white light, then you're at peace and you're liberated, but you're not realizing your true nature. So
That's
you would
right.
be unsatisfied.
All right. If you want to give up your identity and merge into the void, as they say, then you have the opportunity to do that. However, you cannot lose your personal identity. We are individuals just as Krishna is individuals, Hannah. And we have come from Krishna, but it's been so long ago that it is said that we are eternally parts and parcels of Krishna, like there was no beginning and no end. So it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita that for the soul there is neither birth nor death. He has not come into being. He is not presently coming into being. And the future, he will not come into being. That means all living entities then have had their existence as long as Krishna has had his. Eternally. That's what it means to be eternal. It means to have no, you go into the past. Did we lose power? No. Okay, I think we lost it. Yes, Gokulanand Prabhu. Wait, you have to have the mic.
Prabhupada gives the example of how the parents give birth to a child, and if the child complains, why did you give me birth? Take me back in the womb. I don't want to cease my existence. So, simple to understand.
Okay, so eternality is one of the qualities of the spirit soul. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means what? Eternal. Chit means full of knowledge in our original position, and Anand, bliss. So in our original position, then we're eternal, we're full of knowledge, and we're full of bliss. All right, so thank you very much. I'm going to stop here because we're out of time, but I would like to hear if anybody has a thought that they've been perusing in their minds. Would you like to speak? Just to do it, do you want to speak? Did you Esther, okay. Please.
I was going to say that to answer your question of why we need individuality to have spiritual relationship with God is I think everyone has good and bad qualities, and some people who work on themselves, they can like purge all the bad, well maybe not all, but they can try to, and if you're left with the good, you'll want to give that to God, and you'll use those qualities to help you do that. So with our personalities, some people have like determination and like
So our eternal position then is to be a servant of the Supreme Lord. And that service can come about in many different ways. Krishna does not need us to serve. He's fully self-satisfied. Atmarama, fully satisfied. But nonetheless, because we are his parts and parcels, and because we somehow or other forget our original position, we come into this world, take these material bodies, and then start trying to gratify our senses because that's what we're taught by everybody around us. Any other questions? Questions or comments?
Just a small
Yes,
comment.
Janaki Devi.
One, thank you for class, too. So nice. And on the point of losing our individuality and why it's not the best or like the most fun or the ultimate thing, it's kind of like if you go to a party, but you're the only one there. It's not much of a party. It's just like a lonely Friday night.
You're talking about to merge into the white light or Krishna's effulgence?
Yeah, if you don't have your individuality, then you're just like one with everything and whatever, then it's like, I don't know, there's nothing there to enjoy. You're just the one. That's it.
It's been described that if we want that kind of liberation and we get it, then we're like little individual sparks of light buzzing around, and we don't have any relationship with other people. We don't have any relationship with Krishna. But it is said that is an existence that is without anxiety. It's a very pleasurable place to be. And for those who are fed up with dealing with human beings, fellow human beings, they want to get to a place where they don't any longer have to deal with other people. And this is one of their benedictions they're given. But we as devotees, of course, we know that our position is to serve Krishna. That's where happiness is. It's not because Krishna is this big, powerful monarch saying, you must serve me or you will suffer. It's more like he's saying, you're suffering because of things that you've done in your previous lifetimes. And now in this lifetime, if you want to serve me, then that's where you're going to find the happiness. You'll find eternal happiness. Whereas in this present body that we have, we're going to have happiness and distress. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah, Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Thank you all very much. Please chant the holy names. If you get time, please chant Hare Krishna.